July 2024, the month that we finally were able to launch Emblem Markets. But here's some of the topics, right? Some of the similar ones that we continue to talk about. Emblem Legacy, which is related to the migration. We're getting a lot closer. I have some information there. Emblem Markets, which launched July 2nd. Emblem Vision, our new minting platform, is live. Hit a few bugs before we could go public for it, but we are also really close with that. Koval, and then op code 900,000. What the heck could that be? And then what are the plans for August 2024? So let's get into it. Emblem Legacy, we actually made a ton of progress this month. Shout out to Shannon Code, our lovely founder and brilliant developer who's been putting in some immense amount of work. First, I got to say, the stuff that he puts behind the scenes to get this done for Legacy is not something that is retail facing, I guess you could say. It's a lot of back end tooling that's had to be created. To think about it, and I've been on a handful of calls with him just about this, 50,000 vaults with 12 different protocols, 215 different collections. You have flagged vaults, you have vaults with multiple assets, there's broken vaults, there's literally hundreds of thousands of different types of variables for this. So he's been putting a lot of work in on the back end. I wish I could show you guys, but right now that is just a internal tool to really possess all this data to see what's inside of the vaults. It's really, really cool. Maybe one day that'll be one of our premium products, or maybe one of our business to business kind of products. But right now it's an internal tool. So some of the wins that we had this month for Emblem Legacy, right? This is the thing that's been ongoing since July of last year. Our bulk minting tool is now operational and it's minting about 25 vaults per transaction. This is basically the migration tool we're using, excuse me, is our bulk mint tool and the jump tool combined into one. So the jump tool is where you're going to be able to move vaults across collections or across blockchains. The bulk minting tool is where you can mint multiple vaults in a single transaction, as well as you'll be able to unvault and create and bulk jump as well. So this is what we're using to now migrate. Previously, when we migrated I think it was like 25,000 rare Pepes and Spells of Genesis, we used a different method. This was an actual tool. This was more using some quote unquote some surgical procedures to get that done as a race clock across time. Now, which is actually kind of cool, when we did that first wave of migrations, Gwei was at 7. We never thought we'd ever be able to get it lower than that. Now it's at like 2. So
that's crazy, man.
People unfortunately had to wait, and we did miss a little bit of that first leg up on the bull run, but we'll be back here and done with this pretty soon. So the bulk minting tool is operational. We've improved the vault balance checking across chain indexing. This is what we call the Emblem Explorer and the Emblem Dashboard. These are two internal tools that we use to mint collections and index for vaults and etc. We did migrate the Blockheads and Twitter Eggs collections. After we migrated these, we did notice we did run into a few bumps in the road. Some of them being that some expired vaults were migrated. And so we had to go back in and we had to put some proper labeling. So now across the image, if a Namecoin vault is expired, it literally says expired across the image. And in the title of the asset, it says expired asset. Currently on OpenSea, it does say expired asset. On Emblem Markets, we're getting that improved. So you can kind of always cross-reference back and forth. What does this mean if there's an expired asset in the vault? The vault can still be opened because this is still a vault at the end of the day. I was having this discussion with Joe Luna yesterday about why we did this. Once a vault is minted, we have no way to delete this, right?
We don't own it.
It's been tokenized on chain. If a vault is still in the create stage before you mint it, we have access to take it over or to help with bugs and things like this, because it hasn't been turned into an NFT. It's still kind of in our server. Once it's minted, we have no control over it, right? And so if assets expire, what do we do? So the best thing we could do is update the metadata to say that it's expired. So that's the current solution moving forward. And then also for Emblem Legacy, we had to create images for .bit, .id, and puny codes. These are assets that do not have a standard image attached to the name record like you do with blockheads and Twitter eggs. So we've spent, probably months at this point on just Namecoin specifically. And, we're getting more requests on different things, but at some point we have to move forward with the rest of this. We did start with Namecoin purposely because we knew it was going to be the most difficult. So the rest of it should be somewhat of a breeze after we're done migrating the rest of these Namecoin collections. We're going to migrate with Counterparty, then we'll go to stamps and Bitcoin ordinals. Those are the 4 priority ones. We do have some additional assets inside of Legacy Vaults that are probably about 2 or 3% of the collection, including stacks, Monoparty, Litecoin ordinals. We will get to those, but this is the bulk of everything. And so with the remaining collections, Counterparty, Bitcoin stamps, and Bitcoin ordinals, we don't have to go through the same process we did with Namecoin in terms of generating images and recording expired assets, updating the metadata. For these, we just have to basically plug in the APIs and go in and do a little bit of tweaking. We have had some assistance from Counterparty, from some of the Counterparty communities for getting the JSON files and traits. Shout out to Shaban from Spells of Genesis and also Al from Pepe.wf, who's been able to provide us some information for Counterparty collections. If you have traits for some of the other ones like Monoparty and etc., you could reach out to us. Bitcoin stamps will be in the same collection. And then Bitcoin ordinal, shout out to our partner Best in Slot, who's the one that's providing all of the metadata for us. So if you have a Bitcoin ordinals collection and it's being tracked by Best in Slot, then the metadata will automatically populate. We actually have somebody right now minting a Bitcoin Punk Vault. And I'll just say this again because a lot of people aren't aware. The V2 vaults are what we call dynamic vaults. So this means that the metadata, which is the name, the image, and the traits, will auto-populate to whatever is inside of the vault. So you don't have to worry about, like in V1, where you're putting the name. You have to type in the name, you have to upload the image, and you have to, what was the other one? I'll put the description. You don't have to do that anymore.
That was the big deal, talking to people at in Nashville. Talking to them about making new vaults, and they're like, "Oh my god, that was the thing." I mean, we've forgotten about it now because we're kind of used to this new system of just how much easier it is, where you send the asset in, and all that information auto populates. It's a huge, massive upgrade.
Huge. So we're excited for that. We should be getting this done here in the next few weeks or so. Sham's really been crushing it, so shout out to him. Emblem Markets. This was a fun one. We've been working on this for some months. Shout out to Bunzi, who's been our front-end developer on this. We've been going back and forth. A lot of people are familiar with Bunzi. This was definitely an interesting project to take on, but it's something that we're still continuing to iterate on. So really appreciate Bunzi for working on this with us. He even flew out to Vegas, and so did Shannon, so that we could get this done and all kind of meet up together, me, him, Chris, and Bunzi and Shannon. We're still iterating on it. So just keep in mind, as we launch this, we're calling it the soft opening, because at the end of the day, none of us have run a marketplace, and there's a lot of kinks that we have to work out. And we're going to continue to improve this moving forward. So then by the numbers, we launched this on July 2nd. Since Emblem Markets has launched, we've had over 250 ETH in Vault trading volume. This doesn't mean that they've come through Emblem Markets. We actually, right now, are not sure how to even track if it's come through Emblem Markets, because it's an aggregator. We could track if the assets have been listed on Emblem Markets, but if they're being purchased through Emblem Markets, it's really tough to know because it doesn't display that on the transaction history. So we have to go through Reservoir to get that data. But with that being said, it's the interest around Emblem Vault has definitely increased with over 250 ETH in trading volume. Since we've launched, there's been 9 pull requests have been pushed, which basically means we've pushed 9 updates so far to this. I want to keep a note here that Emblem Markets will remain in beta stage throughout quarter 3. I'll have more information on that later. So just, again, think that once we finish this migration, we'll have probably close to 40 to 45 collections that will be tradable on Emblem Markets. Right now, there's really 5 collections that are trading. That put up 250 ETH. So that's quite a large feat with just a handful of collections. We have about 15 feature updates that are in the queue that Bunzi and Shannon are working on. And we also are accepting community requests. We've taken a few of them already. So if you're on Emblem Markets and you see some issues or you think something that's awesome, then please just reach out to us. One feature request that a handful of people have asked for is notification system for ERC 1155 vaults, because what we're seeing a lot happen here is there are people in the Spells of Genesis and Fake Rares and Rare Pepe community. They just look for resting bids on these vaults, and then they'll just vault the asset and accept the bid. It's like sharks. It's almost like they're fishing, right? They're like looking for the bids there. And so what is Emblem Markets? Just for a little brief review. Emblem Markets is a cross-chain marketplace that supports all Emblem Vault collections. It also includes the application store, which features products and protocols that are created by Emblem or builders who are using our SDK. The first really cool product that is going to be launched from somebody using the SDK is purportedly to be launched next month, which I think is going to be, actually a pretty breakthrough protocol. Hopefully will encourage others to use the SDK. Adam, what's your take on Emblem Markets a month into it?
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this a bit. I mean, I look at it as really, I mean, we're in the kind of first stages of it, the beta stage now, where, okay, it's a marketplace in a traditional sense, like you would think of, OpenSea or Magic Eden or whatever. But I think what it'll become over the coming year or so is this hub for your digital assets, where you can move these digital assets to any chain you want, go do anything you want with your digital asset. If you want it on, Blast to, mine the latest reward, or Solana for a game, or Bitcoin to store it, whatever you want. That's what Emblem's going to be. And I think this is, we've been talking about, I mean, literally this has been a dream for years. So it's really, really nice to get it out the door. And even though it's not fully formed, the vision of what it is I love it. It's spectacular, man.
It's going to be great. Seriously, just an ability to trade all digital assets on any chains in one place. Moving forward, Emblem.vision. This is basically Emblem.finance v2, but we've changed the domain. We're dropping the finance. Emblem.finance will be retired at the conclusion of legacy migration. So just keep that in mind. Emblem Vision is our vault minting and management platform, which also includes vault tracking across the ecosystem, as well as a leaderboard. You can actually go to Emblem.vision right now if you want to preview it. It is currently live. It was actually meant to go live last week. Unfortunately, we ran into a few bugs along the way. So all the features on the site are functional outside of actually minting the vault and unvaulting. So we're currently working through that. We have a contracted developer that helped us build this, and so he's working on those issues. We've unfortunately had some scheduling issues or some scheduling delays with that. That's what prolonged the launch, also with some bugs, but we're working on it and it's getting close. And once those bugs are finished, then this will be the new way to mint, unvault, to jump, to do basically everything vault management on Emblem.vision. So just think of Emblem.vision for minting, think of Emblem.markets for trading. Eventually, over time, these will all be folded into one site. Just need a little bit of a larger team to be able to put that together. Since Emblem.finance, or since Emblem Markets is launched, we've had about 450 vaults minted. So vault activity has started to pick up as well. We do suspect that this will grow much largely over time, especially once you have a bulk minting tool and you have, more than 5 collections really that you can kind of mint into and a marketing campaign. Adam, have you used Emblem.vision, or what's your take on finally being able to have a minting platform that's mobile friendly?
Bro, it's just like it's the difference between, really, it's like the 2021 experience and today is 1,000 times better. I mean, just what we talked about, where you just send the asset in and the system recognizes what it is. No mistakes. I forget who I was talking with at Bitcoin Nashville when they were talking about, minting Bitcoin punks or whatever, and they screwed up the name or the number or this or that. All that stuff is solved. I mean, this is like, yes, it's only solved for, it's going to be solved for 40 collections to begin with, but like this is like every collection, right? And that ability to just, once it's minted, to jump it everywhere. It's just going to be exciting to see how big the Emblem ecosystem grows. How many assets? I think now, whatever, we have over $100 million in assets locked in vaults. Like, can we get that to $1 billion? Like, I certainly think in the next 18 months, as we really enter a bull run, I think $1 billion is certainly within insight here, where we can get people in the ecosystem who just want to have assets on different chains, move stuff around, and got some exciting stuff coming up in the next few months about new kind of ideas around this. And it's going to be exciting to see, man.
Yeah. Two products you guys don't see that are just business facing side is our Emblem dashboard, which Shannon's really built to a cool way to where we don't require dev experience to start deploying collections. So me, Adam, and Chris can be on the forefront of really just talking with whoever needs a collection, and we can really just kind of start plugging it in there away and do it at a much faster rate.
Totally. I mean,
really,
that's just like the excitement around that. We haven't really experienced yet. I mean, because it's not been possible, right? But imagine, the Penguins, they finally launched their L2, and there's actual excitement around there. And we, how fast we work, we can get that up in a day or two. New collections want to move over to that L2. We can make that happen. That sort of exciting thing where we can have literally thousands of vaults happening over a day or two span for people to move assets into a new ecosystem is it's really, really exciting.
It is really. And just to remember, like with ETHscriptions, the ETHscriptions protocol launched and we had a collection live within 3 hours, and that was manually done. This could be done just from our perspective. So Koval, oh man, it's been a tough bout for Koval. Unfortunately, it's fallen down to about a $6 million market cap since the Coinbase delisting, as well as I saw there was the Perps delisting as well. There's some really, I don't even know really what's going on in the background there. We were actually really never notified what's going on. Everyone's going to continue to speculate what the issue is, so I'll let people continue to speculate there. Still sitting around 8,900 to 8,800 holders. Right now, you could currently trade it in about 3 or 4 places. It's on Gate and CoinEx for centralized exchanges, and then Uniswap. It was kind of interesting. I was reading some of the Koval chat one of the days, and we knew how to swap on Uniswap, which was kind of interesting to see. But Uniswap's probably the most popular place to go capture Koval. So what's next for Koval? I will have utility announced under Emblem's upcoming campaign, which we're calling OP 900,000. So if people are in Bitcoin, you could probably figure out what that is pretty quickly. What exactly is OP 900,000? So I'll have the slide up here while I take a sip of water.
Just a little bit of clarification. I mean, I know you've said it 20 times in the Koval chat, but just to say again, you put in quite a bit of effort trying to get a hold of Coinbase to dive into and ask them why. Just for clarification's sakes, even though you've done it again, just better to say it here again, that you reached out, I don't know, what, 10, 15 times, to try and get somebody on the line to actually talk about it. And Coinbase just basically, they're not under any kind of obligation to answer us, and they just don't answer, basically, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I tried everything. Phone call twice, business office, the retail office. the AI chat bot assistant, email. Like I tried going through different people. Right. Tried asking Swapna. She doesn't have a contacts there. Coinbase is a huge corporation now. It's like over 5,000 people. So everything is just largely segmented away. To even try to get to their listing office was like even a pain in the ass. Like it's getting swapped between 10 different departments, trying to get to what specific office I need to talk to even figure it out. Is it Coinbase listings? Is it Coinbase assets? Is it, this person? Managers unfortunately never really got to know. But that is now in the past. So op 900,000, this is what we're titling our multi-year campaign for the launch of Emblem Vault V2 and the next generation of cross-chain development. When will this campaign begin? Early Q4 2024. What are some things involved? I created 3 different categories here. So you have Emblem Markets, Emblem Vision, bulk minting, bulk features, we call them. Bulk features is bulk minting, bulk create, bulk unvault, and bulk jumping. Time lock vaults and cross-chain jumping. So these are from the Emblem product side that's involved. From the blockchain side, it's Bitcoin, Solana, the ETH L2s, Bitcoin L2s, and EVM compatible chains. And then on the right-hand side, from the tokenomics perspective, what is involved is Koval runes, airdrops will be involved, rewards, and a points program. The lovely points farmer system. People love to farm. You're going to be able to farm with some vaults. I know this sounds a little bit vague, but we do have a lot larger plans here. We've been really circulating over this idea probably since the beginning of the year, once the legacy migration started becoming to a close. And so what exactly is this? I'll try to explain. For those that are just kind of traders or are not in the business facing world of crypto, most of these teams, they go through something that's either they call them seasons, right? Or they call them campaigns, or you could call them roadmaps. Generally, the teams have to create, kind of a structured plan, a business plan. Although crypto generally is consistently changing, so you can kind of plot out the next 12 months, but really there's a lot of stuff that changes over time. So for us, this is something that we're putting together that leads us into the new vision, right? There'll be, a new token involved. There's going to be a points program. We're going to unveil, Time Lock Vaults, which is a brand new DeFi tool that does not exist across the industry, right? Being able to tokenize, it's basically tokenized staking in essence, right? Being able to lock assets inside of a vault and then trade that vault with assets locked inside for an X amount of time. And you could time lock these vaults to a block height. So you could tie it to a Bitcoin block height or an Ethereum block height, or you could tie it to a clock, a UTC. And then cross-chain jumping, right? We'll use Repepe for an example. This would be like taking your Nakamoto card from Ethereum and moving it to Arbitrum, or moving it to Blast, or moving it to Merlin, or moving it to Bitcoin or to Solana within one click transaction. This to us, for the NFT perspective, or just, I guess you say, the basket perspective, is superior to all these other bridges. I don't know if you ever used a bridge, but it takes 7 days to withdraw. Here it's just literally one transaction and it's moved over. Transaction that's tied to the network that it's moving to, or the network that it's from. I'll have to get clarification on that. So as we've been stating this for probably about a year now at this point. There has to be a strong foundation in order to introduce utility and tokenomics, right? So the strongest foundation of Emblem is the vault business. The Emblem Vault does not exist without proper functioning vaults. And so then once you have that, right, what's next on top of that? That's the Emblem market, or the Emblem infrastructure, which is Emblem Markets, which is where you trade vaults. You have Emblem Vision, is where you mint vaults. And then we have the Emblem SDK, which is people who want to build using Emblem Vault, which again, we have the first builder, I think, is launching next month. So you have that, right? So you have the vault business, then you have the infrastructure. On top of that, you have the tooling. And the tooling, right, is time lock vaults, cross-chain jumping, bulk minting. So you have kind of a pyramid here, right? And then you go on top of that, of the tooling, then you have all the blockchains and stuff that Emblem exists on, right? So right now we exist on Ethereum, we exist on Polygon, and we exist on BNB, although the two latter ones are also in the legacy states. So we still have to migrate those ones as well. And then on top of that, once you have this, this very sturdy and stable pyramid, then you introduce utility and tokenomics on top of it. And so what do tokenomics mean, right? These are incentive systems, right? This is volatility in the token. This can mean rewards, right? This introduces speculation to the market. It introduces fun again, right? We want to make this fun. But we also realize that the idea of utility token has drastically changed over the last few years to the degree that nobody likes utility tokens anymore, right? This is kind of the proliferation of meme coins is because of the lack of utility or the unfulfilled promises of utility tokens. They are starting to come back a little bit, especially in the Bitcoin space. They're starting to start catching some interest because that's a new ecosystem. So there's a lot of moving parts here. And we want to introduce gamification on top of the products. We want to get people familiar with moving across chain, moving vaults, experimenting in these new ecosystems with your vaults. What can you do with them? Right? This idea of yield bearing NFTs across chain is a very interesting idea with a lot of these L2s that we've talked with. We're in current conversation with 2 L2s that are going to work with us on a marketing side as well. Emblem, we could just deploy on all these L2s, but it's important to talk with these different ecosystems, figure out, what are their partners, what type of lend platforms exist there, what type of new technologies are there, what type of marketing can you provide. It all works when the protocol and the ecosystem work in tandem. And so we've had discussions with tons of different protocols, different L2s, right? Different DeFi platforms to really kind of make this all work together. So a lot has been happening behind the scene. I know a lot of people, right? Unfortunately, Koval, took a hit because we weren't able to fulfill our timely manners in terms of, getting it built in the time that we had predicted. But that's okay. It's part of the market and we adapt to everything moving forward. But I couldn't be more excited. We're talking about this almost every day internally with strategy calls. We're talking with a large variety of people. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to make this fair. And we also want to embrace the cultures of all these different chains that Emblem exists on, as well as the tokens that these exist on. For example, the Bitcoin NFT community is largely different from the ETH NFT community, which is largely different from the Solana NFT community. And same with, right, the meme coins on Ethereum, much different than the meme coins on Bitcoin, which are much different than the meme coins on Solana. And so when we enter these different protocols and blockchains, we really have to do our due diligence and embrace what's going on there, right? With Bitcoin, it's more of an airdrop friendly kind of community, right? You don't get a lot of participation unless there's an airdrop involved. If you're on Solana, right, it's about like sniping, finding the cabal, CTO, all these different things. Ethereum's a little bit more about provenance and DeFi and importation of assets. So it's really just taking all this into consideration. It's a very giant puzzle. And I think once we launch this campaign, I actually have taken a lot of inspiration from Udi and Eric from Taproot Wizards and their OP Cat campaign. To me, it feels a lot like almost feels like war watching them go to it. There's like an infosec area, right? There's an airdrop and reward section. There's a political aspect to it, right? There's the media side to it. There's so many different areas in terms of this campaign, and they're on a multi-year campaign. They're on year 2 already. And so with us moving with, op 900,000, it's going to be a multi-year campaign. So if you want to participate in this, just keep in mind that it is going to be something that's not It's not going to start and end within a few months. It's going to be, there will be programs within this campaign that, have a expiration period to it, but largely it's a multi-year kind of agenda for it. And we're excited for it. We're literally leading the future here. There's no product like Emblem Vault that exists out there. I literally research this consistently. There's literally nothing like it out here. So we're literally, we're on the frontier here, creating our own mission. And so we want to bring everyone with us, but we also want to make sure that everyone's rewarded and incentivized and having fun while we're doing it. So this is the first announcement of that, and you'll hear more about it as we get closer. Realistically, it'll really launch once you see legacy migration done and that first slot of those 5 tools that are really fully functional, which we believe will be early Q4. Could happen earlier. So stay on your toes. But once that infrastructure is done, then we have that pyramid that's very solid. Then we're ready to go with all this.
Yeah, I think it's not only rewarding people who've supported us and people who already have used Emblem Vault, but it's also this idea of like, okay, well, how are we going to bridge onto new blockchains, new communities, get people excited to use the product, highlight what the product can do, right? At its best use case, right, is finding liquidity on other chains, but there are a whole bunch of other new exciting things that are being built throughout the ecosystem or throughout crypto, right, that people want to take part in and bring assets over to and stuff. So it's finding those new communities and showing them what Emblem Vault is. It's a huge education process too, right? We know Emblem takes, like, people have to understand what the heck it is, right? So there's a tremendous amount of work, obviously, but we're fired up for it, man. This is like, I think there could I can't imagine, we could have never imagined in 21, 22, 23 that this would be possible right now. But it's coming to fruition. I think we're perfectly poised to take advantage of it.
Yeah, couldn't be more excited. The cross-chain thesis is playing out just as we'd predicted, just as Shannon had predicted literally almost 8 years ago, which is
crazy, man. It's literally crazy. It's crazy to think about, like, how visionary Shannon is, to be able to see what was happening back then. Like, literally probably 5 people on earth got it at that time. He was one of them, obviously leaned in, and to actually be able to survive this long and be ready for it is a testament to him, and obviously, and just feel honored to be a part of it, really.
Yeah, couldn't be more excited. We're seeing it play out across multiple ecosystems now, especially with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, I think, has the largest
so great
cross-chain vision right now, because everyone's like, dude, where do we take these assets to? Because the native experience on Bitcoin is lacking, right? That was the same thing with Counterparty, why they found Emblem Vault. They're like, these dispensers are horrible. Where can we find a more 100%. Functional kind of infrastructure?
100%, man. Yeah, totally.
So last slide here, in August 2024, right? What are we working on beginning today? Finishing migration is still the primary objective. It should be coming to an end here soon. I know we've been saying it for a while, but it really feels like it's really there. We would have continued on if we didn't run into the Namecoin expiration issue. So we had to go back and retool or add a few things for the metadata, and also kind of retool the balance checking for all of the vaults to ensure they have everything done. And then the secondary objectives, which is kind of what I just said on the last slide, the bulk minting features will probably be next after Emblem Vision. Time lock vaults, expansion to some L2s to build that framework out. Bunzi will continue working on Emblem Markets for us with some features. Again, there's about 15 features in the queue. I know he's been working on them. And then continuations of ongoing partnerships and discussions. I actually made a notepad yesterday. I literally put down almost 30 different ongoing discussions in terms of collaborations and partnerships and ideas. So hopefully once this all works out, and we're able to scale from a part of this process, and we're able to implement all of this on a much, much faster kind of pace. Adam, any final thoughts on this?
Man, just got to get it over the finish line here, right? It's just like, and I know how frustrating it is for people in the community. Trust me, nobody's more frustrated than the team. But I think once it happens, it's like this liberation to like move forward. It's just really, really exciting to actually really test out and have users, do the bulk minting, the first bulk jumps and stuff like that. Obviously, we're doing bulk jumping already, right? But to have users have that experience and be able to kind of tweet about it and talk about it, I think that's gonna be exciting. Like people, they don't know what's coming, right? They don't understand this yet. Nobody people in this space are barely getting it, right? And so, but what that's going to unlock for teams and stuff who want to move projects, I think it's just going to be, man, it's going to be great. I'm just really excited to be able to unleash these tools on crypto and people to just be able to like, holy cow, let's take this over here, let's go here, back and forth, jump all around. Like it's just going to be like I'm just excited for people to get to play around with it.
It just creates a more competitive ecosystem, and actually is much beneficial to the users because now the marketplaces have to compete for users across the entire industry, not just in their little blockchain. So generally, when this is scale, right? It's at scale. This generally drives fees down across the board. This is something that's very normalized just in the tech space and in the real world. Once you hit something of scale, everyone's got to be competitive, and the first thing to do come down is fees, and then after that, it's generally incentives. So it'll be interesting to see what type of gamification really comes there.